Hi, it's Anna. These are my note cards. One, side one, two, oops, three, four. Okay. These are my audience members. This is my mom, her coworkers. Sorry. Okay. Start my speech. Objectively, the place you feel the most safe is your house. What if I told you one of the most protected individuals in the United States was killed in their own home? Melissa and Mark Hortman were shot in their house, and fellow lawmakers were shot in their own home, too. With the research I conducted, I will be giving you a detailed report of the shooting that happened that night as of June 26th, so yesterday, because there's more information that's going to be coming today. This speech covers the events of Melissa Hortman's death and those leading up to it. So, who is Melissa Hortman? Do you guys know who Melissa Hortman is? Have you heard of her?
No.
All right, she's a state representative in Minnesota. She was elected in 2004, and she's serving her 11th term at the time of her death. She was born May 27th in 1970, making her 55 at the time of her death. She's also a Democrat, which is kind of important to this story because I'll get to that later. She's married to Mark, and then they have 2 kids and a family dog named Gilbert, which I think is a really funny name. So leading up to the death, there was another attack. In an article posted a little over a week ago by NPR News, authors Anderson, Traceman, and Lewis state Democratic State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette were shot at their home in nearby Champlin, Minnesota. So that's the other shooting that happened, but it was the same night. Like he went from their house first, then to Melissa's house. So in the vehicle of the suspect, there was a notebook that had a list of 45 other Democratic political figures that he planned to kill. Like he was planning on getting 45 other people. And I think it said something in the news article because they were like for abortion or something. Like abortion rights was like the main reason that these people were important. Both Melissa and Mark were on that list. Prior to the shootings, the suspect Vance Bolter would stalk his victims. So he would kind of like sit outside their house and make note of like, oh, this is how many doors this house has. Oh, this is what time they get home. Like things like that. He would make a note of it. Author Shailene Shapiro wrote in an article published this past week by ABC News, he surveyed his victims' homes and took notes. So he had notes like of Melissa specifically that were like quoted in the article. And after he stalked, the deadly night came where he knocked on the first door and shot Yvette and John. They were shot 8 times. One of them was shot 8, one was shot 9 times, but they both survived. And then the police were dispatched to go to the other lawmaker's house to like protect him, but they were too late. Bolter was already there, and he was disguised as a police officer. He was wearing a latex mask to cover his identity and like a weighted vest. So like he kind of looked like an officer, and his SUV was like had the license plate that said like police on it, even though he wasn't a police officer. So in the report, Shailene Shapiro wrote, Bolter's SUV was spotted in Hortman's driveway by New Hope police a little after 2:30 in the morning. So this was like, why are you up at 2:30 in the morning? Like normally you wouldn't be expecting somebody to come knocking on your door at 2:30 in the morning. The Hortmans knew he wasn't a police officer though, but when they refused to let him in, he barged in the door and shot him, and then they died. In People News last week, an article wrote by authors Newman and Cantor, they state even the family dog was shot, so Gilbert died, unfortunately. But both Melissa and Gilbert will be lying in state, which means they're basically going to have like a funeral service at the capital of Minnesota where like you can like pay your respects. And she's the first woman to be lied in state, and he's the first dog to be lied in state, which I thought was pretty interesting. Bolter was arrested the next day, June 15th. These shootings happened on June 14th. and his actions will not go unnoticed. His first hearing is actually today, June 27th. In a CNN module put together by 8 authors. He'll get first-degree murder charges, and they don't have the opportunity of a death penalty. With all that in mind, the deaths and injuries of these individuals will not be forgotten, but learned from. Government officials are not immune from tragedy. This speech serves as a reminder to all to be cautious about who you open your doors to, because even though they didn't open the door, he still came in. Thank you. It's because I stuttered, and I skipped my.
Did you have to turn that off?